力こそ全てだ。俺は手に入れた圧倒的な力を。この大会が俺の波動を飾る最初の一歩となる。戦いの価値、俺は一人の女に出会う。恐れることなく近づいてきた風間純、不思議な女だった。せいや勝ち進んだ俺の前に現れたのは生きていたとはな。まさかこの俺が。貴様は俺の手で必ず。
So we continue the series with Tekken 2, which, as I said when I recorded the first Tekken game, the game has improved greatly. So granted, it's still a PS1 game, so it has similar graphical looks, but they kind of changed the characters a bit. They added like a little more polygon so they don't look all blocky, edgy. They don't look like bricks moving, all stiff. So we're going to continue the story of Tekken. They added 2 new characters to the game, which is Jun Kazama and Lei Wulong. And you have the original 7 characters from the first Tekken game. The only difference is they switched out Kazuya for Heihachi. So as you played the first game, or you saw me play the first game, Kazuya wins the tournament, he defeats his father, and he very slowly, gently drops him off a cliff. I mean, I was going to say that in the first one, but I just didn't have enough time. But I mean, come on, like, you couldn't just fucking throw him. He dropped your ass. He didn't even gently drop you. But then again, it's the PS1 graphics, early PS1 game, so, you know, they didn't have a lot of movement compared to this one. So the 3D animation was a little more, less movable. So, I decided to play as Heihachi since he is the main character of this game. Since Heihachi is a playable character, that would obviously mean that somebody else is in charge of the Mishima Zaibatsu and sponsoring the tournament. So, to the manual. Story of Tekken 2 The Iron Fist. 2 years have passed since Kazuya Mishima won the first King of the Iron Fist tournament, with the mysterious disappearance of Heihachi Mishima. Kazuya Mishima, the new head of the Mishima Zaibatsu organization, is holding the tournament a second time. Once again, the best fighters from around the world have gathered to compete for the coveted title, the King of the Iron Fist. There is a rumor that Kazuya has made a deal with the devil, so enter the tournament at your own risk. So as you guys saw in the opening of Tekken 2, Heihachi survives the drop and now enters the tournament. Now, it shouldn't come to a surprise because, if you play, now at least, because if you play Tekken 5, he survives an explosion of Jack 4s and gets blown miles away, and he catches a bullet with his teeth in the anime in the fucking Tekken 6. He comes out in Soul Calibur 2 as an extra character. He comes out in PlayStation All-Stars. He is a well-known character, and he is a fucking superhuman beast. There's many powerful characters out there, but fucking Heihachi's on a league of his own. I bring that up because each character has a unique, not ability, but fighting style. So some characters like Heihachi are mostly known for strength, power moves, strength punches, and knocking you out of the way. The issue with that is if they're blocked, it takes Heihachi a while for some combinations to get in a defense stance. So as soon as I'm done with a combination and I missed them, I'm wide open for attacks, and it takes him a while to get back. So that's the only difference compared to as Law, where he's a quick puncher and kicker and agile hitter. So he might have a better chance at blocking right away, but his strength is not that high. Don't get me wrong, each character has that one move that can just take more than half of your strength away, especially with certain combinations, but that's what kind of separates them. There's so much shit that was improved in Tekken 2 from Tekken 1, but I still believe that Tekken 1 could have ended right there and it would have been fine. Like, okay, let me try to explain that well. I do not mean it like that. The way it was, it's Tekken 1 is a basic fighting style. No extra features, no extra game modes, just player 1, player 2. And it's understandable because it's the first game of the series. You never know if a game's going to get popular and it's going to get picked up or people will want a sequel. So it's like Kazuya, at the end of the game, he gets his revenge, he throws Heihachi off the cliff. You would have ended it right there, there's no cliffhanger. It's the same as King of Fighters. If you're familiar with the series, when you play King of Fighters 94, the way they made the game is in case doesn't gain popularity, we end it right here. It's not until you went to King of Fighters 95 where they started adding the Orochi saga, and then 96 and more, and expanded. That's what Tekken is to me. Tekken 2 greatly improved not only with characters, moves, and graphics, but it just made you want more. Okay, so there might be a few people out there that think, oh, it's the same game, so what? All you did was extend the story and added a few more characters and just added more features to the game. This is the same game, it still sucks. Okay, granted for this point that there are a lot of games out there that have really messed up because they don't increase everything or make everything better. They don't improve the game. Like, let's say they add more characters, but then the story and the gameplay sucks. Or the story's good, but then there's not as many characters and the gameplay still sucks. There's many games out there like that. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 had a shit ton of characters. You play part 3 and they took half the roster out of there. Or Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1, where the fighting style, the story mode, it was cinematic cutscenes. And then when you play part 2, it's like some dumb trail map that was really dumb and a lot of people hated. Tekken 2 stayed the hell away from all of that. Because the fighting style and the characters, it's different from... Okay, I'm bringing this up again. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. They have the same basic moves that do sweeps, middle kicks, back kicks, uppercuts, and the only thing that separates the characters are the special moves. Tekken is based on different fighting styles. Granted, some of them have like similar moves, like Paul's smackdown and straight punch that sends you away that Heihachi does, but each one has their own fighting style and different moves. Like Bruce, which is a new character in this game, he does Muay Thai. Then there's Karate, then there's Taekwondo, then there's Judo. Each character comes with their own fighting style. So when you unlock somebody, it makes it feel rewarding that you unlock someone. Unlike other games, they don't only look different, they feel and play different. Now, I'm sorry if I sound like I'm praising it as the greatest game of all time, because I am not trying to do that. I honestly do believe that Tekken 2 is greater than Tekken 1. It's improved greatly, but it is far from the perfect game, and it still has its own little problems and glitches. Like some moves, like with the grabbing, sometimes you miss even though you're right next to them and you grab them, and it doesn't go through. Or the fact that sometimes when you start throwing punches at your characters, they duck automatically because they know that you just pressed the punch button. You know, that's the thing. It comes with difficulty. And definitely, Tekken 2 is harder than Tekken 1 in my opinion. I played Tekken 1 for about a week just to get the feel and hang of it, and you know, you come up with your own strategies on how to do it. You're going to block wait till they leave themselves open and start punching, or you're going to just counter before they finish their combos, or they leave themselves wide open. Each person comes up with their own strategy. Part 2 is pretty goddamn hard compared to part 1. And some people it might be a good thing, some people it might be a bad thing, because some people like a challenge. Some people say this game's too easy, I want it harder. Other people say even when I put it on easy, it's fucking hard. So to each their own, whether you like it or not. I like the game, it's up to you whether you like it, but this is definitely how I feel about the game. So I've told you guys the story behind Tekken 2, but I've yet to tell you the story of each character. Now, I'm only going to do the 10 playable characters from the beginning of the game because their story is already in the manual. And on top of that, doing the extra rivals would take more time than I have for this video. But I feel you will get more information off doing your Tekken Wikipedia research. Not only do you get more, but on top of that, they install new games every other year. So I feel like they just add more pieces to the previous games. So I don't think I should do Kazuya either. You guys already know. He defeats his father in the first tournament, throws him over a cliff, and then he takes over the Mishima Zaibatsu. And it turns out he becomes more evil and corrupt than his father. So I'm just going to start with Heihachi Mishima since I am playing as him. So he loses to his son in the first tournament and he gets thrown over a cliff, but he survives, so he re-enters the tournament in order to not only get back his Mishima Zaibatsu, but to also get revenge on his son. Next character is Paul Phoenix, who of course enters the first tournament but sadly loses to Kazuya in the last round. So he re-enters this tournament to become champion and to prove that he is the #1 fighter in the universe. Nina Williams, who was raised in Ireland at a young age to become an assassin, who sadly failed her first mission to assassinate Heihachi Mishima. Now that Kazuya is the new leader of the Mishima Zaibatsu, her orders are to assassinate Kazuya, but at the same time she has a side objective, which is to settle shit with her long-time rival, which is also her sister Anna. Next character is Martial Law, who didn't win the first tournament but did make enough to start his own dojo, so sadly his dojo gets destroyed and his students get attacked by someone. So he finds out that that person enters the tournament and now he enters so he could try to get revenge back for his students and his dojo. Next is King, who sadly did not win the first tournament but still managed to make enough to help support the orphanage. Now that they're losing money, King has actually succumbed to alcoholism and he's given up until Armor King enters and throws him the mask and tells him, get your shit together and enter the tournament and fight for your kids. Now, I used to think that Jack 2 was the same as Jack 1, just improved with a new chip, but no, it turns out according to Tekkenpedia that he is a different model completely based on the first one, so it's not the same character. Now, this one does have a new chip and they gave him the ability to learn from his mistakes, according to the manual. He also wants to save his creator from Kazuya so that he can become more human. Now, in the beginning of the opening, you see that he saves a little girl from all the jackbots destroying the village. She's a big part, so in the later installments, we'll talk more about it. You'll see what role she has with Jack. Michelle Chang, of course, lost her father when the Mishima Zaibatsu sent to assassinate him, since he was a spy for them and didn't do what he was supposed to. So now Kazuya sends his men to kidnap his mother because he finds out that Michelle has a medal, or a medallion that is, that leads to a secret treasure. So now she gets her shit together to try to go rescue her mother at all costs. So Yoshimitsu, which is one of my favorites in the whole entire series, leads the Manji group in the first tournament to steal funds from the Mishima Zaibatsu and give it to the poor. But along the way, Yoshimitsu lost his arm, and Dr. Boskanovich, who was working for the Mishima Zaibatsu at the time, helped him by giving him a mechanical arm. Now he finds out that Kazuya has abducted him, and now Yoshimitsu wants to return the favor by rescuing him. So on to the new characters. Lei Wulong, who is the #1 detective of the Hong Kong International Police Force and a well-respected cop, enters the tournament because he ties links from the Mafia to the Mishima Zaibatsu, where they're hunting and trading animals. So he wants to put the organization to a halt. And finally, Jun Kazama, who is an officer with an organization that is meant to protect wildlife and animals. She finds out what Kazuya is doing, so she is sent to arrest him, but she also has high psychic power, so she can sense the evil in him and wants to save him from the devil.
You win. Yeah.
So as you just saw, I barely had enough time to talk about Jun Kazama for a quick second, so there wouldn't be any time for the rest of the characters. But I still suggest you go online and do your character research with like Ganryu, Anna, and the Roger, and the rest of the characters. Now, I just passed it with Heihachi Mishima, and you may be thinking, how was he able to defeat Kazuya? On top of that, he had the powers of the devil with him. So let's just say in the previous manual in the game, it said that Heihachi lacked the training since he was just always busy running the Mishima Zaibatsu as a dictator, a powerful strong man with no training. Let's say he hits up the gym. That still won't be enough to defeat him. Hell, he might just match up with Kazuya, but not enough to defeat him. So that's not what made Kazuya weaker. It's the fact that Jun Kazama stepped into the tournament and met up with him along the way. Since she does have psychic powers and she has the ability to kind of push back the devil, as we see in the later installment of the game when she does that to Jin. So Kazuya meets up with Jun. It kind of causes Kazuya to like fight his inner demons, and it weakens him, it distracts him. So Heihachi goes on, he has a handicap over him, he defeats him and throws Kazuya in a volcano. Now, there's multiple endings in this game, of course. I always thought that Kazuya's ending was the true ending, but it turns out it was this one, where Heihachi throws him into a volcano. Very sad, but it actually makes the story a lot better. And wait till you see the later games when I explain them. It makes the story great. So, just like in Tekken 1, you face off against 7 opponents that are from the beginning playable characters. On stage 8, you go up against your rival, which is normally an unlockable character. And on stage 9 is the last boss, right? Well, slight difference in this one because there are actually 10 stages. In the last stage, you'll go up against either Devil or Angel. And on stage 9, you go up either against Kazuya or rare occasion Jun Kazama. Now, stage 8 is still reserved for your rival. So since there were 8 characters playable in the beginning of Tekken 1, and now there's 10, they had to add 2 extra rivals with the addition of Jun Kazama and Lei Wulong. So when you pass the game with Jun, you unlock Wang Jinrei. And when you pass the game with Lei, you unlock Bruce Irving. So Jinrei is not a new character. He was actually unlockable when you pass the game with Martial Law in Tekken 1. So they had to make Martial Law unlock a new character in this game, which is Bekto-san. Those are the 10 unlockable rivals. So there's only 2 left, right? Kazuya and Devil. So the way you pass Kazuya is you unlock the beginning 10 rivals, and to unlock Devil, you pass the game with Kazuya, and there you go. There's also Angel, which is just an alternate attire for Devil. So if you continue playing the game, you'd be lucky to know that there is actually one more character to be unlocked. Now I'm talking about when the internet was fresh and new, so a lot of people didn't either know how to use it or it wasn't that big. So pretty much you had to be lucky to find out that Roger is an unlockable character. Now they show him on your memory card as a figure, and how the hell would you supposed to know, like, why the hell did they put a kangaroo there? What's that? Is that a playable character? There's your tip. Now, all I did was fight against Heihachi in stage 3, passed it with a great, and then you go on to stage 4 to fight Roger, and that's how it is. This is before I even looked up cheats or how it was done. I literally did it as soon as I passed it with Heihachi. I took on Martial Law, and then I went to stage 3, beat Heihachi with a great, and then you go to stage 4 and you fight Roger and you beat him. And that's how you unlock them. So I unlocked 2 characters at the same time. Now, you also have Alex, which is just an alternate outfit, but believe it or not, they have 2 different endings, kind of like Devil and Angel. So it's treated as 2 different characters. You just have to press the alternate attire to pick them. So those are the unlockable characters for this game. Last thing I wanted to mention before I move on to the game modes is the fact that now each character has their own theme song and stage. Now to some people it may not seem like a big thing, but trust me, when you play Tekken 1 and you fight the characters at random stages, especially Heihachi, who's the head boss. The head boss is somebody that should have his own stage. It would be dumb to play the game and fight him in like the mountain area, and you play as another character and you fight him in Chicago and then the baseball field. It was dumb. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on the stages. I'm not saying the baseball stage was a dumb area, but I am saying it doesn't look good on Heihachi, or especially anybody that would be the boss. Now, this one, they added their own stages, and it makes them look better. It makes their identity pop out. Like, you see more of what the character's fighting for, especially King, who is seen fighting in the orphanage, and he wants to win that tournament for the kids. It just makes it look better for each character. So, moving on to the game modes. There are 4 modes in this game. There's Team Battle, Time Attack, Survival, and Practice. Now, Team Battle, aside from being a battle mode, it's also a good way to see whether you unlocked every character or not. So in Tekken 1, all you had to do was just go to the memory card and it lets you know whether you did. In Tekken 2, however, it just has a picture of Roger and it just says Tekken 2, so that kind of sucks. Getting back to the battle mode though, you could choose to play between 1 or 2 players, so one player will obviously play against the CPU. But what separates this from the versus mode and the arcade is the fact that you get to choose up to 8 players and it's not best 2 out of 3 rounds anymore, it's just 1 round for each character. So for example, if you get to choose to play with 8 characters each, whoever wipes the other one, the next one takes his place, and the next one takes his place, and the next one takes his place, and whoever loses all his characters loses the game. Time Attack is almost no different than arcade mode, but there is a small thing. It's the fact that you have to pass it as fast as you can. Now, you don't have to, but you could. It's pretty much just for bragging rights. It posts it on your record how fast you passed it. Now, you could get 2 people to play with you, you know? It's not a 2-player mode, but let's say, you know, you hold a tournament with your friends and be like, whoever passes it wins this, or it's better than you know, just for bragging rights. Now, what does suck about this mode is the fact that you cannot pause it. So let's say you gotta take a leak, or you gotta answer a phone, or you gotta do something, and you gotta take your medicine, whatever. You cannot pause the game, so boom, you have to start all over. Now, understandable, it's a Time Attack, you get no breaks, but that's no excuse. Survival mode is exactly what it is. All you have to do is survive for as long as you can. So it's got that whole 1 round defeat, just like in Team Battle. So you face your opponent, you defeat them once, and you move on to the next opponent. And you keep going till you lose. You lose, game over. So you have to start again. Now, every time you take some damage, luckily you get to recuperate some health, but it all depends on how fast you defeat your opponent. The faster you do it, more health is gained. The slower you do it, then almost nothing. But what was really dumb in this part, where it really needed this, is that it's got the same issue that Time Attack does. No pause option. Now this is a mode that definitely needed a pause option. Let's say you got like 20 wins, 40 wins, 100 wins, and you want to keep going. You eventually have to go eat food, you eventually have to go take a leak, you eventually have to do something. You have responsibilities, and you can't pause it, so you have to just give up. That was really dumb on their part. That definitely needed a pause option. But aside from that, it's pretty much just all for bragging rights. Now what I wanted to do was to see how far I could get. And sadly I only got 11 wins the first time and then 14 wins the second time, and that's as high as I can go. I played this almost the whole day and that's as high as I can get. I mean, I just wanted to see if, since there's 24, 25 characters, what happens after you defeat them? Do you like just repeat the same characters and fight them again, or does it end at a certain point? Sadly I can't go that far, but I'm sure they just repeat. Now the last mode is Practice. Now in the first game it didn't have this, but most people would just be like, well, I could just play arcade mode, and then if I'm done practicing, just hold the start button and press select and go back to the main menu. That's a practice right there. Okay, this game did not need practice mode, but I'm glad they did, and it's very useful because the fact is now you have the move list. You just go to start, check out your moves, and practice with the character. And on top of that, on your top left corner, you get to see how much damage you deal to your opponent and how many combos you can do it. So this practice mode is great for this game. Some people may like it, some people may be like, you know what, I could just practice in arcade mode. But it's just very useful to have, and it makes it easier, and I'm glad they added this mode to it. So now the game's passed, and yeah, you're probably, okay, so you unlocked all the characters, you unlocked the new title menu with Kazuya's face that is only shown when you unlock the 10 rivals plus Roger. You also unlock Kazuya's alternate attire and character attire, so when you press the alternate outfit you get a new character. And no, I am not talking about transforming Kuma into Panda. I'm talking about transforming Devil into Angel and transforming Roger into Alex. And speaking of alternate attires, by the way, if you want to know whether you chose the alternate attire, all you have to do is just look at the character's name, and if it's blue, you got the second one. If it's red, you got the first one. The only one you can't tell the difference for is when you pick Kazuya's purple suit. You just press start and you choose it, but it's still gonna be red. No, I'm talking about cheats. And there's only 3 codes out there that you just have to pass the game and you unlock them. And I'm not talking about Game Shark, I'm talking about just plain old codes that you could just use to have fun with. Now, you can't just use these cheats on any new game or a fresh one. You actually have to unlock all the characters. So I tested it out. I passed the game and unlocked everyone, used it, boom, works perfect. Then for the fuck of it, just to test out, I removed the memory card, did not delete the data, just removed it, start a new game, and nope, does not work. So unlock everyone first. Now, there are 3 cheats in total. One of them says hold select button and press X. Now, 2 things about that: you do not have to press X. You can choose whichever attire you want, and on top of that, you do not have to hold the select button before you press the button. You choose the attire you want, and as long as you're holding the select button before it shows the red versus screen, then you're good to go and it works. Now, this one, all that happens is your character becomes big, fat, and plumped. So I wanted to see if it does any more damage or something like that, and I tried it out on practice, and nope, it doesn't. It's just for a funny joke. So we'll call this one wiener that's been in the microwave for too long. This one says hold select and up button as you're choosing your character. Now, what they failed to mention is the fact that you have to do this with the second controller. You choose your character with the first one, but with the second one you hold the up and the select button. And your character should come out plump like the hot dog form, and that's how you know you did it right. Now this one, it keeps your opponent in the air for a longer time, so it doesn't really benefit him. It's mostly when you knock him up in the air and do uppercuts, he'll stay up in the air longer than he has to, and which allows you to do more hits, and you know, it gives you an advantage in like survival mode. So it's cheating, but it's kind of fun. We'll call this one ground control to Major Tom. And the last one is hold L1 and L2 as you're selecting your character. So again, as long as you're in the character select screen, you're not in the versus, yada yada, it works perfectly. So in this one, you're in an invisible green wire figure mode where, you know, you're surrounded by green wires and you're see-through. And it puts you in a first-person point of view perspective, which is funny and fun. You can see the character's face directly. And the only time you leave the first-person point of view is when you do a grapple or grab move, like the power bomb by Heihachi or whatnot. But then it puts you back into first-person point of view again. Now, some people may say it's a little bit of a challenge, but you know, you play it like twice or 3 times, you get the hang of it. And then on top of that, just to give you tips, it shows on the top left corner the distance between yourself and your opponent. So, you know, you just follow that and it shouldn't be that hard. So that was the last code. We'll call this one Punch Out for the arcade. And that's all 3 of the codes, and that's Tekken 2. There's not much else to say. I mean, just to recap, the game is great. It's improved. It's definitely over 9,000 compared to Tekken 1. And we'll have to see how Tekken 3, you know, which one's better, Tekken 2 or 3. We'll see in the next video. For now, I just got to show you the ending videos for the characters. And the great thing about that is now your opponents and the rivals you unlocked have their own ending, including Angel and Devil, who are the same character but just different attire. So, you know, see you guys on Tekken 3.